on this Friday night.
I'm really proud of this Chinese brand, so I hope everything goes well.
A Canadian court is the center of attention in a story with global repercussions. New details in the case against the top Chinese business executive.
Maybe not be the smoking gun that some people suspected, but useful information.
It's Mueller time for two key defendants in the probe into Russian election meddling. What it all might mean for Donald Trump.
All the black people that speak, it's through a white person's perspective of who they are rather than their own voice.
And how a classic American story is being reframed for a new audience. But is it time to retire To Kill a Mockingbird? This is The National. An international legal drama is playing out right now on Canadian soil. At British Columbia's Supreme Court today, a bail hearing for a member of China's corporate royalty. Now, it is hard to overstate just how closely the world is watching. Media from around the globe crowded the courthouse steps, waiting for Meng Wanzhou, the CFO of Chinese telecom giant Huawei, also the daughter of the company's founder. Now, there was no real conclusion today. Meng will stay in custody over the weekend, but we're learning more about the case against her as the world watches. Briar Stewart was there.
The line started early as curious onlookers descended on the courthouse.
I immigrated from China, so that I have interest to know what really happened.
These Chinese tourists set aside sightseeing and rushed over to the court this morning.
I think Huawei is our really important brand. I'm really proud of this Chinese brand, so I hope everything goes well.
The attention not surprising given that the case involves the CFO of a telecommunications giant. Meng Wanzhou, who listened to the proceedings with the help of an interpreter, is accused of fraud by the U.S. government. It asserts that between 2009 and 2014, Huawei used a shell company called Skycom to break U.S. sanction laws around exports to Iran. It alleges the fraud conspiracy was perpetrated at Huawei's highest levels, with Meng personally making key misrepresentations to one of Huawei's banking partners. Her lawyer said Huawei sold Skycom in 2009, arguing the company and Meng complied with regulations. The accusations and the politics have put Canada in an awkward position.
Canada is kind of caught in the middle of a proxy war between China and the U.S. It's not an enviable place for us to be.
But the question today wasn't about extradition, but bail. Her lawyer argued she isn't a flight risk because she has connections to Canada, including two multi-million-dollar homes in Vancouver. At one time, she was even a permanent resident of this country. If released, she's willing to hire a private security and surveillance firm.
The detention decision is the heart and soul of the extradition process. People with deep pockets can afford the best lawyers, private security 24/7, and a plan of electronic monitoring as if they're living in an electronic goldfish bowl.
Meng's lawyer says she wouldn't think of breaching any bail conditions because she wouldn't want to embarrass her father or China. But the Crown is making a rigorous argument against her release. The bail hearing is expected to continue on Monday. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
So as Meng's case puts Canada in the global spotlight, it is also highlighting the influential place her company has carved out almost everywhere. Senior business correspondent Peter Armstrong explains why what happens in Vancouver could be far-reaching and long-lasting.
By detaining Meng Wanzhou, Canada has landed in the center of a precarious trade war between the world's two economic superpowers. Huawei is everywhere, from corporate sponsorships to research centers around the world. It was founded on the principle that telecommunications was as important to the future of China as the military. Today, its equipment powers much of the global telecom system, but it's vying to build the next generation of networks, 5G.
Embedding Huawei equipment in our next generation of the 5G generation of cellular, for example, creates a really serious national security risk.
From the beginning, Huawei has been accused of stealing technology from its competitors. Cisco, Nokia, Motorola, T-Mobile, even Canada's Nortel have all said Huawei hacked into their systems to copy their technology. Every other member of the Five Eyes intelligence alliance has restricted Huawei's access to networks over fears it's a national security threat, not just spying on companies, but people as well. Huawei's intimate ties to China's political and military leadership only exacerbate those fears. China and the U.S. were already locked in an escalating trade war, which was already dragging down world markets. This arrest won't allay any of those concerns.
This is something that could potentially, lead to wider miscalculations that eventually draw these sort of hegemonic powers into rivalry with one another at a deeper level.
If China and the U.S. are drawn into a deeper conflict, growth slows, the entire global economy could seize up, and the impact of that would be felt everywhere. Peter Armstrong, CBC News, Toronto.
Canada's PM was asked today how the case might be affecting Canadian-Chinese relations. He spoke to reporters in Montreal. Have a listen.
We have a strong and constructive relationship with China. I spent the weekend engaging with President Xi. We will continue to work with China and look for ways to grow our economy and benefit our citizens. In regards to the matter you bring before me, it would be inappropriate for me to comment as the matter is before the courts.
Now, of course, that wasn't the only thing on the Prime Minister's plate. Far from it. He spent much of the day huddling with the country's premiers in Montreal, a group carrying clashing agendas and very much competing for attention. Now, it promised to be tricky right from the outset. And as Katie Simpson tells us, finding anything to agree on was a tall order.
So much for the tension in the room. Ontario's threats of a walkout never materialized as premiers raised issues they were most concerned about with the Prime Minister. By all accounts, it was a professional experience until
all of a sudden we had a little surprise in the room.
Ontario and Saskatchewan accused the federal government of ordering higher pollution reduction targets. Sources say during a discussion on climate change, the Prime Minister said he expected some provinces to exceed their initial targets. Doug Ford and Scott Moe interpreted the comment as a demand for additional action.
Some will have to do more than others. Well, when did it change? On the 11th hour?
This is moving the goalposts. This is not what we agreed to in the Vancouver Declaration from the province of Saskatchewan's perspective.
Other premiers say this is all a misunderstanding.
He didn't say they had to do more. What he said was some will exceed more.
While Justin Trudeau suggests the comments are purposefully misleading.
Even though the Premier may want to play games with numbers, what is clear is we are going to move forward, as we always have, in a very consistent way. And if anyone is moving the goalposts, it's Premier Ford.
There was some agreement between all premiers that more needs to be done to address the oil crisis and interprovincial trade barriers need to come down. But the premiers have all left with no specific plans to tackle those problems.
We made it very clear what we are looking for. I think there's willingness to look at it, but we don't have the answer yet. I've got to be frank on that.
And Katie joins us now from Montreal, where that meeting was held. So, Katie, with no concrete plan, are premiers questioning the value of this sort of a meeting?
When Stephen Harper was Prime Minister, Andrew, he stopped holding these events pretty early into his time in office. But what I'm hearing so far is that the premiers are happy to have an opportunity to raise their concerns at the highest level, even if some of them do leave disappointed like some did today.
Okay, Katie Simpson, thanks very much. Let's turn now to tricky politics south of the border. 3 major documents dropped today related to the Russia investigation and of major interest to the U.S. president. 2 involve Donald Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen. One filed by prosecutors in New York's Southern District, the other from prosecutors working with special counsel Robert Mueller. His team also separately filed a 3rd document related to former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort. Now, the documents aren't exactly rich with names and details, but they do reveal that both men have been less than truthful with investigators. Our Lindsay Duncombe has more on what else they say.
Mr. Cohen, Mr. Cohen.
Prosecutors in New York say Donald Trump's former right-hand man deserves to go to prison for a substantial amount of time. Michael Cohen pleaded guilty to various financial crimes, tax evasion and lying to banks. But it's Cohen's admission that he made illegal campaign contributions by paying off two women who said they had affairs with Donald Trump that has the greatest consequences for the president. The memo says, as Cohen himself has now admitted with respect to both payments, he acted in coordination with and at the direction of individual one, referring to Donald Trump. In other words, the president committed a crime. The New York prosecutors acknowledge Cohen is cooperating with special counsel Robert Mueller, and for that they say he should receive a modest reduction in sentence. In a separate sentencing memo, special counsel prosecutors described that cooperation as relevant and truthful. Cohen provided the SCO with useful information concerning certain discrete Russia-related matters core to its investigation, and gave prosecutors useful information concerning White House contacts as recently as this year.
There's clearly information that was provided to the special counsel's office that's significant, and it's caused the special counsel's office to have a somewhat softer and kinder view of Michael Cohen because they believe they've gotten useful information, maybe not be the smoking gun that some people suspected, but useful information.
Then there's the case of Paul Manafort. The special counsel outlined why the plea agreement with Trump's former campaign manager fell apart. Prosecutors say Manafort lied to them a lot. About precisely what, we don't know, as much of the statement is redacted. Though prosecutors do say Manafort was in touch with people in the White House and lied about it. In a statement tonight, the White House spokesperson said the Manafort case has nothing to do with the president, and the Cohen filings say nothing that wasn't already known. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
So will this affect President Trump, and if so, how much? Let's read a little deeper into today's developments with Keith Bogue. So Keith, what stands out for you in these three documents?
Well, Andrew, in the first one about the campaign finance violations, you have the Southern District of New York saying the President of the United States committed a crime. That's a big deal. The other documents bring the Russia investigation closer to Trump and to the White House. Robert Mueller says Cohen provided information that was core to the investigation and separate from what we already knew about the proposed Trump Tower deal in Moscow. And Mueller says Cohen gathered that information not from his own contacts with Russians, but from Trump executives. That could include Donald Trump. Plus, Cohen apparently provided useful information through his connections to the White House as recently as this year. And finally, the third document about Paul Manafort. It says that Manafort lied about contacts he had with the administration this year, and that's after he was charged with crimes. And that raises a lot of questions, including whether Manafort was seeking a pardon, and why would anyone in the administration talk to him?
And Keith, has Trump himself said anything about all of this?
Well, it looks like he has. He tweeted, "Totally clears the president, thank you." That's all. Now, if he's talking about the court filings, that's obviously untrue. He hasn't been charged with a crime, but he has been identified by prosecutors in New York as having committed one. And at this point, he also has to worry what the Democrats, who are about to take control of House investigations into him, might think about all of this.
Okay, Keith Bogue, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And the president dropped some news of his own today with two major job announcements, including his pick for Attorney General, something that could have huge implications for Robert Mueller.
A terrific man, a terrific person, a brilliant man.
William Barr is a lifelong conservative who has been AG before. That was from 1991 to 1993 under George Bush Sr. Now, he says he respects Robert Mueller, but he's also expressed concern that some members of his team identify too strongly as Democrats. He also supported Trump's decision to fire James Comey and has said there's more reason to investigate Hillary Clinton than the president. And here was Trump's other big job shuffle today, involving a relative political newcomer, Heather Nauert.
She's very talented, very smart, very quick, and I think she's going to be respected by all.
She'd never worked in government before being hired as a spokesperson for the State Department. That was about a year and a half ago, following a long career as a journalist, notably for some time at Fox News. Now she's being tapped to replace Nikki Haley as the U.S.'s ambassador to the UN. That's a big jump. Both nominations will have to go through the Senate, likely not before next year. And some other stories we're following tonight. You remember the man who drove his car into protesters in Charlottesville, Virginia last year? Well, he was just found guilty of murder. This was the shocking scene during a white nationalist rally. The people hit were protesting the rally. Dozens were hurt, and 32-year-old Heather Heyer was killed. Today, 21-year-old James Alex Fields Jr. was found guilty of first-degree murder and 8 other charges, including hit and run. He could face life in prison, but if convicted on dozens of other federal hate crimes for which he still stands charged, he could get the death penalty.
Investigations involving the senseless death of children create impacts that are felt throughout the community, including some of our officers.
We do have an update to a heartbreaking story we brought you last night. Those 2 young children in Edmonton found dead in an apartment. They were sisters, and one of them, the daughter of a 29-year-old man, now charged with first-degree murder. The bodies of the 3-year-old and 7-month-old were found yesterday in a storage room of their mother's apartment. Police say underneath a pile of household items. Just hours earlier, the girl's mother had been attacked too. West of Toronto, the police homicide unit is investigating the killing of a 14-year-old boy. A passerby found his body near a park this morning in Mississauga, and police say there were obvious signs of trauma. According to multiple sources, he's a student who went to a high school nearby. And overseas, a day of extreme preparation in Paris. Restaurants and luxury boutiques are taking the extraordinary step of boarding up shop fronts. They're worried about potentially violent protests set to flare up again tomorrow. The CBC's Thomas Daigle is in the French capital tonight.
Well, the French call this the world's most beautiful avenue. The Champs-Élysées already decked out for the holidays with the Arc de Triomphe in the background. Beautiful indeed, but look a little closer and you'll see there's something wrong here. There is a sense of anxiety among locals and shop owners. That's why they're boarding up their businesses tonight, because of what could happen tomorrow. This was the site of some of the country's worst rioting in decades a week ago, and tomorrow there is an expectation another big crowd of yellow vest protesters is going to show up again. Now today, the Interior Minister said he expects only a few thousand will show up, but among them could be what he called ultra-violent individuals. And as you can tell, people are very passionate about this yellow vest movement here in Paris. The fear for the government is some will come to the capital tomorrow ready to loot, even armed to kill. Now, the government just this week backtracked on the fuel tax hike that sparked this entire movement, but some say they won't stop until President Emmanuel Macron resigns. Tonight, as ever, Paris is lively, but tomorrow, the biggest soccer club in town has postponed its match. Museums are closed. The Eiffel Tower is shut. These protesters have already made a big commotion. Question is, how much damage will follow? Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Paris.
And still ahead on The National, it is a classic text, but on the eve of a Broadway remount, many are asking, is To Kill a Mockingbird still a story worth telling? Plus, meet Canadian kids joining a global protest for action on climate change. And what happens when your kid goes viral after meeting the Queen?
This video, I'm just so shocked that it's taken the world by storm, but I have to admit it is actually very funny.
The story behind the video you will not want to miss our moment. And coming Sunday, Rosemary and the Prime Minister in a wide-ranging interview you will not want to miss.
Do you practice what you preach?
I certainly try to, yeah.
You try to?
Yeah,
Would you admit that there are times when you don't?
See it Sunday on The National.
It's important to protect your car this winter, especially if you're parking outside. These cold weather car hacks might help. Open your windows a bit, just for a few seconds, to let in cool, dry air before locking up your car for the night. This will prevent frost formation on your windshield, because humidity creates condensation. And in these freezing temps, condensation creates frost.
And then everything cools off at the same speed.
And that's usually the best way to prevent condensation.
And don't leave any liquids in the car, as it'll create more condensation. Defrost your windshield with the AC on. It's designed to pull moisture out of your car, which could help clear frost faster. If you want to save time in the morning, here's how to clear your windshield fast. To make a homemade de-icing spray, mix 2 parts rubbing alcohol with 1 part water. Put in an old spray bottle. Spray, wipe, and go.
Rubbing alcohol and water mixture can dissolve the water crystals, which is ice, almost exactly the same way that water dissolves sugar and salt crystals.
Some people shell out for a car cover, but here's a cheaper alternative. Slide tube socks on your wipers and wrap bags around the side mirrors to help protect from ice and snow. Some people leave their wipers up at night, but experts don't recommend it.
We've seen them come down, and when they come down, they can break the windshield.
Your windows and windshield are important, but if it's cold enough, your car door can actually freeze shut. And trust me, you don't want that. Here's how you can stop that from happening. Take some cooking spray to apply to the rubber seal around your doors. Make sure to wipe off excess with a paper towel. The oil can help prevent water from sticking to the seal.
There's been some talk that I shouldn't do much about defending this man.
Then why are you doing it?
If I didn't, I couldn't hold my head up in town.
Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, the book, has been taught in schools across North America for decades. It's been adapted into an Academy Award-winning film and voted America's most beloved novel. And next week, the next chapter, so to speak, it'll debut on Broadway with Jeff Daniels starring as Atticus Finch. But according to the screenwriter, Aaron Sorkin, it's going to be different.
We understand now in 2018 that using African-American characters as atmosphere in a story is offensive. Also in this story, it's a wasted opportunity.
Turns out Sorkin had to fight the Harper Lee estate over changes from the original. And as Tashana Reed shows us, the conversation about how to retell a classic is also being had in Canadian classrooms.
Before these high school students see To Kill a Mockingbird on this stage, they're getting a history lesson.
Does anyone know what the Jim Crow laws are?
The Stratford Festival offers a workshop for students to discuss themes in the play.
To Kill a Mockingbird isn't a classic in their hearts and minds the way it is for a lot of teachers. So to ask questions about perspective, about representation, about authenticity.
Harper Lee's 1960 classic explores racism and injustice. A black man falsely accused of raping a white woman, told through the eyes of a young girl whose father defends him. Deja Dixon Green plays Jessie, a character in the book who was added to this production of the play by the director. She has no lines, but says her character still has an impact.
When we have the play and we have the opportunity to bring Black, even presence on stage, I think it's important so that those few Black children in the audience or visible minority children in the audience have that connection.
It's one of the many criticisms of Mockingbird, a story about racism that lacks the perspective of the people who are the victims of it.
The story is written by a white person. All the Black people that speak, it's through a white person's perspective of who they are rather than their own voice.
The discussion surrounding Mockingbird has been ongoing for decades. In 1996, Nova Scotia started replacing the text in its classrooms after a review. And this fall, the debate reignited in Canada after an Ontario school board sent a memo instructing its teachers that Mockingbird may not be taught unless it's done through a critical anti-oppression lens. The move, a response to concerns from parents and students about Black representation in their curriculum.
It's a great novel. I have no problem saying it's a great novel.
Author George Eliot Clark questions why this American novel about racism is being taught in Canadian schools.
If we want to teach anti-racism in Canada, we need to go to texts that talk about Canadian experiences and also texts that do not marginalize and alienate Black youth in the classroom.
English teacher Michael Pizzuti has taught Mockingbird for the last 20 years.
It's important to recognize
where we came from so that we don't go back.
He hasn't had any complaints, but says providing context to students is crucial.
The language is difficult, sensitive, problematic. I tell the students that the N-word is going to be popping up frequently.
We asked his students what they learned.
It was like black people were irrelevant and that their thoughts didn't matter.
It really amplified how things were back then, that black people didn't have a voice.
We've come a long way, but there's always more we can be doing to improve society.
58 years later, and Harper Lee's classic still has its fierce defenders, while others say it's time for new voices and new books to take its place. Deshauna Reed, CBC News, Stratford, Ontario.
And next on The National, The Fix. Finding a sustainable way to feed a farm full of hungry mouths, creating a new cycle from farm to store shelves and back again by way of bug.
There's limited resources on this planet, so I think it's really important that the world is looking for more sustainable ways of growing our food.
Hey guys, I'm here with Ryan Gosling. Perfect timing. Ryan, you play Neil Armstrong. Tell us what it was like to step inside his shoes.
It was an incredible honor, but it was an even bigger responsibility. It's a truly remarkable story, and to be given that responsibility was a lot. But I got to work with his sons very closely, and his late ex-wife, and it was so much help, and it's an extraordinary story. I'm really honored to be a part of it.
I had a chance to speak with his sons, and they had nothing but high praise for your performance and your depiction. I'm sure that means a lot. But what is the audience going to learn about Neil Armstrong?
Well, if you're anything like me, Neil Armstrong was synonymous with the moon, but you knew very little about him. And this movie, I think, gives his life, it deserves the closer look that this film gives it. It's truly an extraordinary story, and what he and his family sacrificed to make this mission a success, as well as the 400,000 people who also made it a success. It's like an overwhelming story of sacrifice and hope.
There was some criticism about not showing the flag being planted, but what was your response to that?
I understand the frustration, but I think when people see the film, they'll see that the flag is represented on the moon and throughout the film.
So thank you so much for this. Really appreciate it. All right, guys, so that is Mr. Ryan Gosling. He stars in this film. It's a biopic about Neil Armstrong. We also heard from Claire Foy as well earlier, who plays the role of Janet Armstrong, Neil Armstrong's wife. And, this is a film that comes from director Damien Chazelle. He's the same young man who brought us Whiplash to the festival. He also brought us La La Land, which of course starred Mr. Ryan Gosling as well. And the two have made magic together. Of course, he won Best Director for that film. So many eyes are on First Man, how this film will portray a story that many of us know. We've learned through textbooks and we've learned through news articles. Many people witnessed that moment. But this story delves into the personal life as well of Neil Armstrong. It talks about loss that he's experienced in his life. It talks about, of course, the many failures that led up to the man walking on the moon. And so that is also depicted here. I also had a chance to speak with Damien Chazelle's partner, Justin, who has done the musical scores for all of his films. And again, they team up again together. They were school buddies, college buddies, and they say that now they're living their dream, making these movies in Hollywood, but nothing has changed. They're still making films the way that they used to, staying up late at night, working tirelessly. But let me remind you, Damien Chazelle's only 33 years old and has had remarkable success in Hollywood, and many people are saying that this one looks like it will be a big contender again.
I think Ryan does an excellent job. Definitely could see my dad in things that he did. So yeah, all hats off to Ryan for her job.
I think the important thing is that Ryan really did his homework, as so did all the filmmakers and all the cast. They really studied this, and because they wanted to get it right, and I think that shows in the film.
And you just heard from Neil You just heard from Neil Armstrong's sons about the depiction of their father in this film, and unfortunately their mother passed earlier this year. So for them, they said that it was just amazing to see what Ryan Gosling was able to do and to bring their father to life. But we'll be here. You can check us out on Instagram as well. We'll have more from the red carpet.
Tonight on The National, China has launched their first ever mission to land a spacecraft on the far side of the moon, the side that never faces the Earth. The aim is to gather samples of moon rock and soil and bring them back for scientists to study. It's a long journey, though. The landing won't happen until early January.
In my blood.
And that is the moment Canadian singer Shawn Mendes received his first ever Grammy nomination. He's actually up for 2 awards, but certainly no guarantee he'll win. He's going head-to-head with fellow Ontario native Drake in the Song of the Year category. Drake's one of the artists leading the charge for the night, in fact, with 7 nominations overall. There are other Canadians in the running too. Diana Krall there, Daniel Caesar as well. The awards happen February 10th. Okay, let's talk about an increasingly serious life and death problem: access to affordable, nutrient-rich food. The world's arable land is limited and under constant pressure. Population growth, industry, climate change, take your pick of threats. But a growing number of people think nature itself has already provided a solution in the form of insects. Billions of people around the world eat them. And granted, the idea hasn't exactly taken off here in North America, but even so, there's potential for insects as a source of high-quality protein for animals. Think livestock. And as Briar Stewart discovered, for Canadian farmers looking to save money, this fix seems to crawl right out of the woodwork.
Hey, Chop-Chops! Who's hungry? At Caspian Acres, there's a menagerie of mouths to feed. There's chickens, ducks, and guinea fowl. They roam alongside a rather proud turkey and everything else that's farmed here. Sheepies! The sheep and pigs are more than content with the tubs of fruit, veggies, and restaurant waste tossed their way. But when Aras Bali Mahagdum and his wife Anastasia expanded their brood of birds, it hit their bottom line.
When we started raising ducks and chickens on the farm, we realized quickly that we weren't making any money selling the duck eggs and chicken eggs because all the feed cost was so high.
They were having to buy a protein feed that contained soy, but the cost was threatening to derail their whole dream of running a sustainable farm.
Yeah, here's the fly room is.
Aras, whose background is in computer science, looked for a solution, and he found one in a fly. Well, actually, in its larva.
Here is a tray with a whole bunch of eggs on it. So there's hundreds of thousands of larvae in this little section.
These are all eggs?
These are all eggs. So that is just over half a gram.
They can be seen more clearly under a microscope.
Here we have a whole bunch of flies that are turning into prepupae.
Once they hatch, they become larvae and are high in protein. Perfect food for his hungry birds.
So how much trial and error has there been to get to this point?
Tons and tons of trial and error. I've had them fail in about every possible way that it could fail.
These larvae come from the black soldier fly, an insect that needs to be in a warm, humid environment. In his first few attempts, the flies died. Once he got the temperature right, there was another issue. The flies wouldn't mate.
Some people on the internet were saying that if you play some type of music, then they start mating more. I tried that, actually, just wanted to see if it's true, but I didn't notice.
What music did you play?
I played a lot of disco and a lot of dance music.
Was not doing it for the flies.
No, okay, they weren't into it.
Thankfully, the flies ended up sorting that part out on their own, and Aras is now a full-fledged bug farmer, albeit on a much smaller scale than what's happening in Langley, BC.
So here we have our Intera Grubs product. So as you can see, it's just the whole larvae dried, nothing added to it.
These millions of larvae are destined to be turned into feed, and Terra is one of the world's largest companies betting on the black soldier fly.
think it's the greatest thing in the world.
And Victoria Leung came on board after responding to an ad on Craigslist that asked prospective hires if they wanted to change the world.
There's limited resources on this planet. There's only so much arable land we have to grow crops and food for people. There's only so much water that we can utilize. And so I think it's really important that the world is looking for more sustainable ways of growing our food.
And how do the larvae help with that? Well, for one, they grow really quickly.
Their life cycle from egg to when they're ready to be harvested is about 3 weeks. And in that time, they grow 1,000,000% of their weight.
They are voracious eaters. Just watch as the larvae tear apart this hamburger. Out in Terra, they're fed mountains of produce. Most of these fruit and vegetables still look great, but by the time they make it to the grocery store shelf, they'll be past their prime. So what would end up in the garbage gets trucked here instead. The larvae don't need any water and take up very little space before they're turned into feed for pets, poultry, and fish.
It's about 40% protein, 40% fat.
And the company is hoping one day also you and I.
We see that as being the holy grail. We think we're probably a few more years out of it than we'd like, but we've certainly seen the trend for insects take off in the human food market.
Who's hungry? Back at Caspian Acres, they haven't snacked on the larvae themselves yet, but they feed them to their ducklings and all the other birds. But there's no large industrial operation here.
These ones were baked in the oven for a low temperature, kind of dry them out slowly. And then some of them are just strained through material to try to get excess moisture out of it.
So did you just put these kind of like on a cookie sheet?
Exactly. Just like you would granola. Yeah. Instead of granola, they're bugs.
And they get the food to feed the bugs from the local food bank, which has a program to help cut down on food waste.
So here's an example of a bin. We fill up the truck every second day, and this whole food will last about 1 day at the farm. We'll use it up. So this is black soldier fly frass, basically their poop.
As for all the waste the larvae produce, well, that gets used too in compost.
We always kind of wanted the farm to be a combination of different animals and wanted to make everything kind of work together. So when we looked at it and we sort of started reading it, it felt like a missing puzzle piece.
And now that they've overcome all of the challenges in raising and harvesting the larvae, they're thinking about becoming breeders so they can help others learn the basics of farming bugs.
Who's hungry?
Briar Stewart, CBC News, near Kamloops.
I haven't had dinner yet tonight, and I may not. Still ahead on The National, a special CBC short doc, the story of how a woman who grew up in a strict immigrant household in Calgary found her voice through stand-up comedy. But first, just days now till the conclusion of our investigation into one of Canada's largest unsolved mass murders, the bombing of Canadian Pacific Flight 21. For months, The National and CBC podcasts have been digging into this cold case. Monday morning, you'll be able to download the final episodes of Ian and Johanna Wagstaff's podcast, Uncover, Bomb on Board. And Monday night, right here on The National, we'll bring you a documentary on the case. Here's a preview.
OSP, what is your destination? CP21, Vancouver. Do you read?
A Canadian Pacific airliner has crashed in rugged country in the Caribou district of British Columbia.
Less than an hour after takeoff, an explosion sends CP21 plummeting to the ground. All 52 people on board killed. Dee Dee Henderson was just 5 years old when her father was killed in the crash.
I, for one, will never forget this, because I lost a dear loved one in it, and so many other families too.
So you can see the documentary Monday night, and you can subscribe to Uncover, Bomb on Board on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
The burning weed with its roots in hell.
Reefer madness looks a little different these days.
Cannabis stocks have been on a tear recently.
In just a few short weeks now, Canada will make history, becoming only the second place in the world to legalize recreational cannabis countrywide.
We now have a date to use pot, October 17th.
And the pot story already touches almost every facet of news coverage.
Medical experts say they're already seeing a cannabis-related spike in emergency room visits.
Could have a big impact on Canadians who travel or even work here in America.
Media outlets in Canada smell a good story, and several have been hiring reporters specifically to cover the new cannabis beat, enthusiastically in some cases.
I think people should just try it. But even if you don't want to try, I mean, it's like, honestly, it's harmless. You should just try it.
But is that the way the beat will be covered? Or will cannabis journalists give it the same critical look other beats get? Solomon Israel is the cannabis reporter with the Winnipeg Free Press and its cannabis website, The Leaf News.
So Solomon, let's begin there. Are you advocate or critical-eyed journalist?
No, I'm not an advocate, although there are certainly cannabis reporters in Canada who are, shall we say, more advocate-y, but I try to take a critical lens. I wouldn't advocate for anyone to use any substance that they don't want to use.
This is a new beat, as we would call it in the business, you know, beats like politics, the courthouse, crime, whatever. But this is a product. Why does it deserve its own beat?
You know, I think from a journalism perspective, this is more than just a product. And, you know, as it said in your setup pack, this is something that touches issues of politics and the law and justice and medicine and health and science and, of course, business. So, you know, the reason I love this job is that it really encompasses all those things.
These roles are just being filled in media outlets across the country over these past few months. What have you thought about the coverage that you've seen so far?
Part of the reason I got into it was that I was just disappointed in some of the coverage I saw. You know, coverage that treated cannabis either as just a joke, which is kind of understandable because it's you know, been sort of treated as a funny object in our culture, or reporters writing stories that were alarmist, overly alarmist, and maybe lacked some context and some counterpoints, or stories that just treated as, you know, like a business story because so many people are excited about pot stocks right now. And I thought that we could move beyond that as journalists and treat it a bit more seriously as a topic.
And yet people are going to draw a parallel with, you know, a wine reviewer who says, here's my top 5 favorites for this week. I mean, are you expected to be a user to cover this beat? A user of cannabis?
That's a really interesting question. You know, on the one hand, I would say that a wine reviewer who doesn't drink wine or a auto reviewer who doesn't know how to drive a car wouldn't be very good. On the other hand, you know, a politics reporter doesn't need to be a politician and a crime reporter doesn't need to be a lawyer. I don't think that my bosses expect me to use cannabis or anything like that. We talked about the idea of maybe doing reviews after legalization. I'm not personally sure that I have the palate for that kind of thing.
Before I let you go, what do you think is going to be the single biggest cannabis story in the months ahead?
Oh, where to start? You know, I think that one really big one is going to be, you know, legalization is October 17th, and then almost exactly a year after that, we have a federal election. So as soon as legalization kicks off, a lot of things are probably, you know, there's going to be some kinks to work out. Some things are going to go wrong, and I think the opposition conservatives are going to start making political hay with that before the next election.
Shalina Marani grew up in a strict immigrant household and says she never really felt like she had a voice. She became a bit of a rebel because of it. Fast forward to today, and she's speaking her truth on stage and making people laugh in the process. Tonight on The National, we follow Shalina as she learns the craft of stand-up comedy in this CBC short doc.
Hey everybody, it's great to see you here. Hello everybody, welcome to Shalina Marani. I really want you to laugh tonight because the last thing we need in the financial capital is a Muslim bombing. Wouldn't you agree with that? I love being on stage because before I was really busy being a mom and working, and that's all I had basically in my life. So I'm a new Muslim. I had to go to a group called Muslims Anonymous, and you raise your hand and you say, I'm gonna be a designated driver for the rest of my life. My family was really, really strict when I was growing up. When my brothers had turned 16, they got their driver's license, they got their cars. I told my family that I wanted to learn how to drive, and they were completely discouraging me from doing that. I decided that I was gonna take my dad's car. And I'd never driven a car before. And I'm going up to park, and instead of hitting the brakes, I hit the gas. I went straight into the 7-Eleven, I hit the window, and I crashed the car. It kind of led to my stand-up career, to be honest with you, because I went for a 6-week immersion course in Quebec City. And one of the things at the end of the course was to do a presentation on an event that had really impacted you. So I did this story about the fact that I had, crashed my dad's car. That was my first time in stand-up comedy. If I were to cover my face, you don't know, but I'm sticking out my tongue. Another thing you don't know, I'm actually twerking, you have no idea. Can I try a joke on you? What? Okay, I'm just gonna try a joke that I created, okay? Okay, I just finished the fast for the month of Ramadan. Scientists, did you know that, have you heard that scientists are gonna be releasing a film showing how sugar withdrawal during Ramadan leads to alarming rates of irritability among Muslims? Have you heard about this study? No? The documentary is called Fast and Furious. You like that? Did you laugh? Did you get it? Did it suck? All right.
I don't find it funny. It's not that they're all bad, but there's some jokes that, like, even though it's just a joke, some people are sensitive to that, and just because they're sensitive, you shouldn't say it, you know? Wouldn't it be like to take a paintbrush?
Yeah, Sarah, can you go get a paintbrush? We'll spray it, like I'll take it off then?
It's kind of ugly. It looks ugly.
Sometimes people could misunderstand her comedy. She could, make jokes on sensitive topics, but it's never really, I guess it's just really to make people think about it, not to make fun of it.
I really tried to look good today, Muslim women are supposed to be really, really modest, so that's why I bought these shoes, these ones. So I get a lot of questions about Islam, deep questions, and I have to be ready to answer these questions. Questions like, are you hot under there? I'm like, I don't know, ask my husband, I'm humble. I met my husband in Quebec City in 1992. I just walked up to him and I just said, I think we're in the same world, on est dans le même monde. Coming from an East Indian family and marrying a black man was really taboo. As soon as my mom saw my husband, she refused to get in the car with him at the airport, and she was crying the entire week.
Meeting the parent was challenging because the parent at that time, they won't accept the marriage.
They actually didn't even know I got married. We basically went to Toronto over the weekend. I was cooking on the day of my wedding, crying, thinking that I was completely betraying my parents. The kids should listen.
The listening starts from the parent first. Finally, they accept.
I think that Islamophobia, any type of racism or whatever, is based in fear.
Her stand-up comedy is the way she built a bridge where Trump and other people burn the bridge.
On the most part, if people do have prejudice, it's because they don't understand something. It is really hard to be Muslim, in this type of atmosphere, but when I walk down on the street, I'm not thinking that people are looking at me a certain way because I'm a Muslim. And you want to fit in, right? And so you try to show a bit of skin anywhere you can, right? I'm not doing this for the Muslim community anymore. At the beginning, I thought that was the case, but what I'm recognizing now is that there is a way to make people realize what we're going through, to create a bit of empathy,
So, next week, we are going to meet at the club. The show is at what time? 8:30. Very good. So we're going to meet at what time? 8 o'clock.
We've been working so hard over the last 5 weeks. I'm just really excited about, performing in a different type of atmosphere because I've done a lot of shows with the Muslim community. So this would be branching out into a new atmosphere. It's kind of like the elephant in the room, a Muslim woman, in a nightclub. But it's okay. I have a bit of a mission.
This lady taking the stage now has been performing for a few months now, and she's very, very funny. Please put it together for Shalina Marani.
Hey, everybody. It's great being here. I feel very lucky that my husband let me into the house tonight. I run late sometimes. That's what happens when you're walking 10 steps behind him. I have people telling me to break a leg before I come on stage. The more appropriate term probably for me, because I'm a Muslim, chop off a head. I tried to look really spiffy tonight. I got my hair done. I feel like it. So I get a lot of questions about my faith, really deep questions. Questions like, okay, well, what's that called on your head? And I'm like, oh, it is a prescription from Allah. It is something that we have to do in our religion. It is called a scarf. I was like, no, what's it called in your language? Oh, okay, in my language, it's called a scarf. It's called a scarf. Okay, well, why do you wear the scarf? I'm like, well, it's a great way to hide a double chin, I swear to God.
Marani, ladies and gentlemen, give it
How was the feeling now?
You have to tell me how I did.
It was good.
Yeah?
It was funny. The people are laughing.
Yeah?
Yes. And congratulations.
Thank you.
You're done.
I'm done. Now I can walk in front of you.
Now you can walk in front of me.
Yeah.
That's good. Alors, soulagé?
Oui, mais j'ai les choses de dimanche.
C'est pas grave, chérie. Don't worry. Be yourself, I tell you. Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Oui.
Yes.
That is something. I love that story. Now, so that doc chronicles events from a little while ago. So we asked Shalina for an update on her comedy life, and she told us while her kid still doesn't really think she's very funny, she's trying to perfect her craft and will be performing at the upcoming Halifax Comedy Fest. Okay, if you want to watch other short docs, you can head to cbc.ca/short docs. Lots to see there from other emerging Canadian filmmakers. And still ahead, right here on The National, a very unusual breach of royal protocol. You might have seen this online today.
That's his version of the bow. We've been saying to Nathan, if you feel stressed, what you need to do is you just walk away.
How's that for a smooth getaway? From the Queen, no less. Well, we tracked down the boy's mother. You're going to hear from her in our moment. But first, in case you missed it,
corporate greed, we must fight.
Students young and old came out today to fight for their future.
When the cause of so much environmental destruction is so obvious, then why? Why is our government not taking action?
At a rally outside the legislature in Toronto, they called on the grown-ups inside the building to do something about climate change.
We are the children here speaking up, and our future is being destroyed by the minute. People think that, oh sure, it's getting a little warmer, the ice is melting, it's okay, nothing big is going to happen. Something terrible is going to happen really soon.
But these kids aren't alone. A 15-year-old in Sweden has missed class every Friday since August to sit outside her country's parliament. And she's been calling on others around the world to do the same. A call answered by Sophia Mather from Sudbury.
She's youth, just like me, and both of our futures are at risk, and I can't just sit there and watch her do all this for the environment and do nothing.
Similar climate protests were held across Canada today, including this one outside City Hall in Vancouver.
An open space is often fair game for advertisers. Your cell phone is no different. That's because of text messaging. Basically, short emails sent via cell phone. The popularity of text messaging is increasing in Canada, and as Susan Ormiston reports, advertisers see an opening.
Believe it. For teens like Matt Chin, a phone call's too intrusive. He uses his cell phone to send an instant text message to a friend.
If you're in class and you're trying to act like you're not doing anything, it's good for that, and if you want to get a message across.
Teens are what the industry calls early adopters. They send the bulk of 25 million text messages a month in Canada, double last year.
It's become a viable new medium for advertisers.
Digital marketers like Roman Bodnarchuk call it an avalanche, ready to roll. Promotions for potato chips and school supplies coming soon to your cell phone.
Hi, Kevin. Interested in winning a trip to Sandestin in Florida. What happens?
Example, Kevin might enter a contest and then agree to get future pitches or sports scores or stock quotes via text messages on his phone.
Now we can really market to people anywhere, anytime, and even by location. Very tough to do that with email or web.
The future, according to Bodnarchuk? Matt and his friend Christian are at the mall. Through a GPS locator on his phone, Matt's favorite store sends him a text message. 20% off leather jackets today.
If it was personalized and it starts sending us stuff about good sales and anything that you needed, then it would be useful.
Danger is that you'd be getting them wherever you went and you'd be overloading your cell phone.
The key, say the phone companies, advertisers can't message you unless you agree. You have to opt in to receive ads and give out your cell phone number. But will that work to keep ads you don't want, spam, off your cell phone? In Japan, spam on phones got out of control before the carriers and government cracked down with laws and technology. In North America, text messaging is newer. In Arizona, an entrepreneur is forewarning what could come.
When I got my first cell phone spam, which is now 2.5 years ago, I realized that this was going to be the same thing all over again, except in a much more immediate medium.
Here, the large carriers like Bell Mobility control the phone networks and say they can keep marketers honest and spammers out.
We haven't had any real concerns about spam, and Bell Mobility actually has an anti-spamming solution on their network.
What is it? How does it work?
It limits the number of messages that can be sent to a customer.
We are nowhere near controlling spam.
In case you ever have a chance to meet the Queen, you should know it is totally normal to be a little nervous. Totally normal. And so, no surprise at all that people all over the world this week found a kindred spirit in a young boy in London. Now, if you want to be harsh about it, you might call it a royal faux pas. But listen to the boy's mom, and he was actually doing precisely the right thing. We spoke to her today, and that is our moment.
Today. This is our adoptive son.
That's his version of the bow. And often my husband will say, we put the funk into dysfunctional. And that's kind of what happened the other day. So in our parenting, we've been saying to Nathan, you know what? You never hit people. If you feel stressed, what you need to do is you just walk away. Nathan had been standing, well not standing, but been hanging around for about 2 hours before the Queen came. And he was very, very excited, as we all were. But he'd been wearing his itchy suit and he was a little like, I need to get out this suit. And I was like, please stay in your suit. And there he was standing, he was doing so well. And then I think he just got completely overwhelmed by the fact that the Queen was standing in front of him. And he thought, I know, I must do what my mum and dad say. Now I must just walk away if I'm feeling overwhelmed. And that's exactly what he did. He crawled very quietly away and very politely said, bye. Bye. I mean, we're going to have this video for the rest of his life and we are going to torture him with it.
Oh, that's nice. So that family, they have 4 children, all of them with special needs, and the family's actually been quite vocal about that. And I think you can hear just at the tail end of that tape, as the boy's crawling away, the mother says that's his version of a bow. So very charming stuff. And I don't know, I'm big on transparency. I'm big on honesty, you know, saying and doing what you feel within reason, of course. And so, hey, I'm a big fan of his now. That's The National for this Friday, December 7th. Have a good night.